Hey guys, it is Deli Carter here,
What's up, guys? It's Moose here.
and today we're gonna be doing a dual com. And I know I haven't seen a dual com personally in a very long time, but today it's gonna be pretty special. We're gonna be going over Call of Duty Championships and our predictions on pool play and our top 8 general predictions. So I guess I can kick it off with Group
All
A.
right, go
So,
for it.
alright, cool. So Group A, we got Optic Gaming, NXG Rapid, Vitality, and Orbit. So right off the bat, Optic Gaming, that's the team which stands out the most. Fan favorite team. They've won the past 3 lands in a row, won pretty much every online 2K and 5K. They've been dominating everything so far. And Orbit being the second NA team, you know, you'd kind of have to favor them over Vitality and NXG Rapid, especially since Vitality doesn't have Gotaga anymore. So as for my prediction, I think Optic isn't going to drop a single map in this pool. I think they're going to come out number 1, and Orbit is number 2.
All right, for me, obviously Group A, as the Optic Gaming fan, and just because of how good
Nice.
they are, you have to go with Optic Gaming to take this pool. Even if you had 3 other great NA teams in this group, I feel like OG would still take it first place just because of how strong they've been. You really can't bet against them at this point. Second place, I haven't really seen Team Orbit play, to be honest. But saying that, I really haven't seen Vitality or NXG Rapid play. So just because of the NA love, I'm gonna have to go with Team Orbit as my second place. Vitality probably as fourth, and then NXG Rapid coming up maybe to upset Team Orbit in the second, third, right there, somewhere in there. But I'm gonna go with Optic Gaming first and Team Orbit as my second. All right, in Group B has Denial Esports, Hyper Games, Clarity Gaming, and Prophecy. Now, the 2 names that are just screaming out at you in this pool are Denial and Prophecy. You really have to go 1-2 with Denial and Prophecy, but I've really never heard of Hyper Games or Clarity Gaming. Never seen any of their games, anything like that. Really haven't heard about them. So Denial and Prophecy, definitely 2 strong NA teams. So I think they'll definitely pull that out. If Prophecy does upset Denial when they play each other in the pool, I could maybe see Prophecy taking first, but I'm guessing Denial as they are the better team in my opinion.
All right, and I have the same prediction as you going into that pool. Denial coming out is number 1 just because of what we've seen in the past. They've been matching up with OG in a lot of the LAN event finals that we've seen so far on Advanced Warfare and online as well, 2Ks, 5Ks. They're a great respawn team. Prophecy, I can see them coming out as number 2. I feel like their respawn is slightly shaky at times, but their search and destroy game, especially with the duo of Ricky and Bose, I think they're a really strong search team. So if Denial and Prophecy's match goes to a Game 5 S&D, I could see Prophecy coming out on top, but I really can't see them pulling out a respawn off of Denial. So I'm going to say Denial is number 1 and Prophecy coming out is number 2. Now going into Group C, we have FaZe Red, Fabe D, Fabe All-Stars, and AR, or Automatic Reload. So again, the 2 teams that kind of stand out right away, FaZe Red and AR, both of the NA teams in that pool. FaZe Red, you have Aches, he's going for those 2 rings this event, and you have Parasite as well going for the 2 rings. Enable and Slasher, a fantastic team, very explosive. I feel like FaZe Red is one of those teams which is going to just absolutely dominate the event if they play together, you know, if they're firing on all cylinders. So I don't see them having any trouble with this pool whatsoever. I think they're going to come out as number 1. And number 2, I'm going to say AR is going to be number 2. I feel like All-Stars, I've seen them play a couple of games. I think that their respawn is good, but not at the level of AR. So I'm going to say FaZe Red number 1 and AR is number 2.
All right, well, I basically have the same prediction. We're keeping the streak with the NA teams going through. FaZe Red, Automatic Reload going through. I've seen in some past events that FaZe Red kind of has a slow start. They're like a big train. They're just kind of slowly chugging along. So even if they have a slow start, I don't see them really losing this group. I still see them pulling through. Worst case scenario, they pull second place and Automatic Reload upsets them. I don't see either the Fabe or the Fabe, I don't know how you say them, either of those teams really pulling through, but it is crazy how both of that organization's teams got into the same group. That's really unlucky to say.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you may see is if there is a situation where both of the FAB or FABE teams play each other and one of them has a chance to advance, you may see the other team kind of throw in the towel just to get one of those teams to go and advance. It's kind of something that I think an organization could do, just to get their name out there, and kind of screw over the other team. But the other team would have to advance. So we might see that. I don't even think either of them will make it through though. So I'm going to go phase red and automatic reload. All right, the next group, Group D, is Optic Nation's group. It has Optic Nation, Exile, SSOF, and Gamers 2. I obviously have to go with Optic Nation as being the only NA team in this group, and I really do like Optic Nation. I feel as though they have their off games, they have their on games, and if they can really pull through, I can see them taking this, no doubt. And then my second place, since I haven't really seen any of the other teams play, I'm going to have to go with Exile because they are half of the T1 Daughters from last year who placed pretty decently. And that's really my only basis for placing them second. I don't know Gamers 2, I don't know SSOF, so I can't speak for them. But I'm going to go with Exile number 2, Optic Nation number 1.
All right, and we're keeping the same prediction streak alive right now because I have the same predictions as you. Going into this pool, Optic Nation, I have to say they're coming out as number 1. Like you said, they're the only NA team in this pool. I think that they're going to have a good time, to say the least. I think they may drop a few maps here and there, but overall, I think they should be able to dominate this pool. However, like you said, Exile, half of T1 Daughters who placed top 6 at COD Champs last year. So Exile as well, they may pull an upset. I wouldn't be surprised if they played Optic Nation and did manage to beat them maybe in a game 5. But as it stands right now, I'm going to say Optic Nation coming out as number 1 and Exile coming out as number 2. And then going into Group E, which was kind of the group of controversy because a lot of people were saying that Envious has an easier pool, quote unquote. This pool is Envy, Team Menace, UX Gaming, and Mindfreak. So my predictions right away are going to be Envy coming out as number 1 and Mindfreak coming out as number 2. Envy, I feel like they're a hit or miss team. If they're playing well on that day, they're going to dominate. But sometimes when they play, they really peter out and they just can't seem to keep up with the competition. So Envy, if they're playing well, I mean, actually, regardless if they're playing well or not, in this pool at least, I feel like they should be able to come out number 1 without any issues. Mindfreak coming out as number 2. Menace and UX, I can't really speak for them. I haven't seen them stream or play any games, upload anything on YouTube. So as of right now, Envy and Mindfreak coming out as number 1 and number 2.
All right, we're going to keep this streak alive once again. I have Envy and Mindfreak as my number 1 and number 2, but I don't know if I really believe that. Mindfreak is the other half of T1 Daughters, so I feel as though they're going to be a very well-balanced team. I've actually heard really, really good things about them, which is strange because I really haven't heard about any of the other teams, UK teams besides like TCM, Epsilon, stuff like that. But I've actually heard a good amount about Mindfreak, and I've actually heard a lot of good things about them, and it has just kind of upset me this year with the hype that the Envy organization really brings. I feel as though their team kind of should be a little bit better. I feel like I'm being really mean towards Envy, but that's just how I think. I think they should be a little bit better as the Envy organization. But I'm going to go with number 1 Envy, number 2 Mindfreak. All right, now we're in Group F here, which is Revenge, Aware Gaming, the EU Aware, Infused, and Threes Up. Now this one, I don't think our streak's going to stay alive here. This one I have a little bit of a different pool for you. So number 1 I have Revenge, as they are the top NA team in this pool. And then second place was really a toss-up for me between EU Aware and Threes Up. Now, personally, I haven't really seen much from EU Aware. I know they're a great org. I know they play very well. I've heard their name a lot. I haven't heard anything from Infused, so I'm going to throw them down in 4th just because I can't speak for them. But for me, for second place, I'm going to go with Threes Up, the other NA team.
Okay.
Just because I know some of the guys on that team. When I actually used to play competitive, I actually played with some of those guys, scrimmed against them. They're very good players. Obviously, when I played against them, it's going to be a little bit different than when Revenge plays against them, but I think they're going to be a good team. I think they are smart S&D players, and I'm pretty sure their respawn is pretty good, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm going to go number 1 Revenge, number 2 Threes Up.
All right, that's pretty interesting. What game did you scrim them on, by the way? I didn't even ask.
It was on Ghosts.
Okay. That's pretty cool, actually, that you got to scrim them. That's awesome. So, My predictions, yep, you're absolutely right by saying the streak is going to die here because I actually have TR coming out as number 1 and Aware EU coming out as number 2. And I'm just saying that because of the names, really. I've seen Aware play a little bit. You have Watson, JT, Joe, and Petey on Aware EU. And I've heard a lot about Petey. I've seen him play at a few NA tournaments, and he's one of the better players in the EU. I feel like he can go off at any moment. TR being the NA team in that pool, I mean, you just kind of have to put them as number 1. You know, we've seen them play at regionals. We've seen them play online on multiple 5Ks and 2Ks. I feel like their uplink game and their CTF game is very strong compared to other teams. So looking at this pool right away, I can say that TR and Aware EU would be coming out as number 1 and number 2. And then moving on to Group G, we have FaZe Black, TCM, Essentia, and Below Zero. So FaZe Black is a team which we haven't really seen their max potential, I want to say, because at regionals, Proofy left for a cruise, I believe, on Championship Sunday, so we never even saw them get to finish out the tourney. FaZe Black, I feel like if they're playing well, if they're playing their search game well, they will come out of this pool pretty convincingly. I don't see them having any issues with this. Apathy actually posted a video recently talking about their team's search game, and he said how they're not really feeling too confident with search and destroy. So I feel like if they can clutch up those games, they should be able to take this. And TCM being one of the best teams in the EU by far, I mean, they have a stacked roster to say the least from the EU. So looking at this pool, I'm going to say FaZe Black and TCM coming out as number 1 and number 2.
All right, so for me, I also have FaZe Black as number 1, just because of the top NA team. I kind of have to go with them. And then this was a little bit of a toss-up for me. I've never heard of Essentia Gaming, so I put them down at 4. But the toss-up was between TCM and Below Zero. TCM, in my mind, just is a step higher, just with who they play against, really their organization, how they've been brought up from the EU, come over here, and now been playing in the Envy LAN and things like that. So I'm going to have to put TCM as number 2. But Below Zero, watch for some upsets with them. I also know some guys on Below Zero. I know they're really great players, so watch out for them. You may not have heard about any of those guys, or you may not have heard of them as much as, say, some of the pro players, but they're definitely some great players, so watch for them. All right, and now here we have Group H, or as a lot of people want to call this, the Group of Death. So this group is insane. It's got 3 great teams in it. So we're going to go through. We got TK, Epsilon, Integral, and Strictly Business. So there's obviously 3 teams in there that everyone really wants to move on or would like to see moving on, and those would be TK, Epsilon, and Strictly Business. I personally have never heard of Integral, so I can't speak for them, like I said before, so I'm going to put them as number 4. But now it's really a toss-up between these 3 teams because only 2 of them can move on. So I'm going to say TK, number 1. They have the Optic LAN, so they're going to be prepped and ready to go. They're really a great team. They've been playing great online. We'll see how that transfers over to LAN, but I mean the Optic LAN is really going to help them out with that. And number 2, I'm going to sadly, or happily, whichever side you're on, have to go with Epsilon, the EU team, pulling through number 2, just with great AR players. Swanee, you can't really say enough about Swanee. He's just a great player, and he has already come over here kind of to the NA to learn how NA players play, how the teams work. So I think that they're really going to be able to pull through. So I'm going to go with TK and Epsilon.
All right, sounds good. For me, it's going to be the same with you in this pool. We have TK and Epsilon coming out as number 1 and number 2. TK, like you said, they have the Optic LAN preparation behind them. They're scrimming the best team in the game right now. So, I mean, with that experience, when you're playing against a team like Optic Nation as well, who is very good at search and destroy in game modes like Uplink and CTF, you know, TK, I feel like with their preparation, they should be able to take this pool. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to say they're going to decimate the pool, not drop a single map, because Epsilon and Strictly Business are very good teams. I think it's going to come down to Epsilon and Strictly Business. I really feel like the search and destroy, it's going to come down to that. If it goes to a game 5, Strictly Business might be able to close it out, but as much as I want to see Fizzerp move on with the thermal LMGs, I'm going to have to say Epsilon's going to take number 2. Just because of how dominant they are in respawn, Swanee being the best AR in the EU, and you have teammates like Mad Cat and Tom, like every NA pro knows who these players are. So it's going to be very difficult to take down Epsilon. I'm going to say TK and Epsilon coming out as number 1 and number 2.
That's who we think is going to be moving on in pool play. Now we're going to go through our top 8 finishers in the finals, or the actual top finishes. So we're going to go 1 through 8. I'm going to start at number 8. I'm going to say that TCM will get 8th place, the EU team. I really like them. I needed a place in my top 8 for them, and when I was going through the teams, I just really couldn't put them above another team, except maybe my 7th place team, which is Envy. I put them up there basically just because of the org that they're in. That's really how I thought about it. I know they're a solid team. They will move through. They know how to move through this bracket. So I think Envy was 7th place. I'm going to say Optic Nation 6th place. I like their team. I just don't know if they can get far enough. 5th place, this is where you guys might kill me right here. 5th place, I have FaZe Red. Ooh. So FaZe Red, as you guys know, great team. They're usually in the top 4, I would say.
Yeah.
In most tournaments. Aches really knows how to play, Slasher. I mean, everybody on that team is a great player, but I think they might not make it high enough. They might not get enough to really make it far. So I'm going to say 5th, FaZe Red. 4th, this might be a shocker too. I said Revenge. I really like Revenge. I really like their team. I really like how they play. 3rd, I'm going to say TK. Great team. 2nd, as always, I'm going to say Denial. And 1st has to be Optic Gaming.
All right. I see you with that hoodie. So my top 8. I'm going to go with Prophecy coming in at the 8th place. I feel like once they move out of pool play, once they start getting the ball rolling, they will be able to take respawns off of other teams. But like I said before, it's going to come down to the S&Ds when it comes to Prophecy. So I'm going to say that whenever they play against a really good NA team in bracket play, they might not be able to clutch up those respawns. So I'm going to put them in top 8. I'm going to say Envy comes in at number 7. Envy, like you said, just because of the org itself and the players that they have, just with the raw talent, they should be able to secure at least a 7th place finish without a doubt. But once they say they lose a map, I feel like Envy is a team which really just loses all composure after that, and they peter out. They don't really know what's going on. So Envy, I'm going to say, coming in at number 7. Number 6, I'm going to say ON. ON, again, is a team which relies heavily on communication. If they're communicating well, they dominate. But as soon as they lose a little bit of a lead, or say they lose a couple rounds in Search and Destroy, that's when Killa, Miracles, and Karma just start yelling at each other, and that's where it kind of just falls apart. So ON number 6. I'm going to say Epsilon coming in at number 5. Epsilon is a fantastic team on Respawn. I haven't really seen their Search and Destroy though, so whenever you think about them playing a good NA team, you'd have to think about those Game 5 Search and Destroys, and if it came down to that, would they be able to clutch up? In my opinion, I don't think they can against the best of the best NA teams, so I'm going to put Epsilon at number 5. Number 4, I'm going to put TK in that spot. They have the Optic LAN practice and all of that, and they've been placing pretty consistently in the top 5 at every single LAN, and they've been playing well online. However, every time I see them play against a top team, I never see them clutch up, the overtime rounds or the round 11 Search and Destroys, especially against a team like OG. Everyone knows Solar round 11, that's where it gets really heated, but they never seem to close out those rounds with a W. So I'm going to say they are going to get a top 4 finish. Then we have Denial coming in at number 3. Again, very consistent team. They've been facing OG online all the time in the finals of tournaments and on LAN. But I feel like FaZe Red, with the roster that they have, and it's something that Enable tweeted, he said that they're happy that they didn't win regionals because Aches would have gotten really lax. But since they lost, Aches knows that they're beatable, so they're going to come out really, really hot off the break, I feel like. And that momentum is just going to carry them all the way through. However, when it comes down to it, championship match, I'm going to say Optic Gaming coming out on top. At the level that they're playing at, I really just cannot see them losing at all. So OG coming out number 1 for me.
All right, so this has been our pool play predictions, who's going to make it through, as well as our top 8 predictions. Obviously, this may change. This may be an upset weekend. That's why I love to watch COD Champs. Don't get to see a lot of these guys play, but in times like this, you really can. You really get to see them play against the NA teams that they don't really get to play against a lot of practice. So I hope you guys like this video. It should be up on both of our channels, so links in the description for whichever channel you're watching it on. Check out the other guy. Either way, back and forth. So I hope you guys like this video. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.